Hello, hello, hello.
My name is... In case you're new here, like I said earlier, I'm the Balso Vaz, League streamer on Twitch, who is currently Challenger, and my favorite champion is Sion. So why me? What gives me the right to teach you how to play the game? I've been a Challenger every single year. Last year I peaked rank 11 or 12 on EU, I also got Challenger in Korea. Damn! This year I peaked rank 15, and I'm currently Challenger. So those would be my kind of qualifications, I guess.
Okay, das ist schon, also das ist schon sehr cool gemacht bisher, ne? Also wenn ich jetzt jemand bin, der Boss nicht kennen würde, boah, hätte ich jetzt Interesse, dieses Video zu schauen.
To be, and why am I making it? This guide is going to have tips and tricks for my top 4 champions, Sion, Gragas, Quinn and Ramos. But it's not only going to be a champion guide, it's also going to touch on general knowledge of the game, alright? So why am I making this guide? A big reason for why I'm making this guide is there are concepts in League of Legends such as freezing, slow pushing, you know, you shouldn't build armor versus magical damage. These you have seen in all types of guides here and there, but there are concepts or tricks that I use in every single one of my games that I haven't seen or heard anyone in the League community ever talk about. So a big reason why I'm making this guide is to teach you guys something completely new about the game that I haven't heard and you probably never heard anyone talk about before. Before I get into the tips and tricks, I like to do a quick disclaimer first.
Oh god.
Lately, a lot of people have been wanting me to be permanently banned for my playstyle and stuff like this. I'm not making this guide to try and defend myself, or I'm not making this guide to force my playstyle onto anyone. There are so many people that play a lot more normally who are way better than me. So I'm not saying that how I'm playing the game is the correct way or anything like that. All I want to do with this video is show how I've been getting high elo these last few years and maybe teach you a thing or two. That's all I want to do. I'm not looking for more controversy. Alright, getting into the runes here then. We got my top 4 champions, Sion, Gragas, Ramos and Quinn. Starting off with Sion, we got the grasp setup. I guess what's important here is the demolish and the conditioning. Never go shield bash and never go second wind or bone plating. This is very crucial. These are the better runes. And then always go minion dematerializer. Minion dematerializer is, in my opinion, the strongest rune in League of Legends. I like to go magic resist over armor because it's more gold efficient. Health doesn't really work on Sion because you already get so much health. And other than that, that's pretty standard. If you feel confident enough to play AD Sion, you feel like you have a lot of games on Sion, this would be the rune page setup. Again, demolish conditioning, something like this. And then you were to build lethality. I only suggest this if you feel like you've mastered the champion first. Going into Gragas, face rush page. I'm not 100% sure with the secondary, minion dematerializer magical footwear. Sometimes I switch it up to maybe demolish conditioning, whatever I feel like playing. This is what I go most of the games. It's pretty standard, nothing to really think about. Moving on to Ramos, we got the aftershock. Always needs to go aftershock. Aftershock is very important on Ramos. It helps you one shot into the late game. And here again, minion dematerializer. You want to use them 1 melee, 1 range, 1 cannon. Go double armor. You never want to put yourself in a position where you're playing versus an AP champion. So this is always going to be double armor because it gives more damage. Other than that, it's all pretty standard. Going into the Quinn, we got the electrocute page. We're not playing
Also ich auch mal die Minion Dematerializer gehen through.
We're going assassin Quinn, and this is the rune page I use every single game when I play her. You're playing an assassin, non-ADC. With the mid-season update being right around the corner, it's a little bit weird to talk about what items to build, because some of this is going to change. For Sion, the lethality build is going to be completely different. The tank Sion build is going to be more or less the same. Sunfire, Swiftness Boots, always Swiftness Boots, Power Steel, Hullbreaker, Titanic. Starting Kull, of course. That's gonna be about the same.
Natürlich
Gragas, you wanna start
Start.
Mana Crystal refillable, and then you wanna go into Lost Chapter and get Ionian Boots, and then you wanna do the book build. So the book build is you stack Fiendish Codexes, multiple of them, because it's a very gold efficient item, and then you get Everfrost somewhere
My
between
god.
there. That's also going to be quite the same as after the mid-season update. And then what you want to do late game is you want to finish the books one after the other. So you want to finish the Cosmic Drive, Sonya's, etc, etc. Quinn, This one is gonna be completely
God,
different.
was?
Ramos, you're starting cloth armor, and then you rush 4 mail. 4 mail is the only damage you have in your kit, so you gotta rush this item as soon as possible. You get sword boots for more magic damage. You don't need AP for this to work. And then you rush armor items like Chain Vest Wardens. You get Even Shroud. Even Shroud is better than Jack Show. And then you go into Gargoyle, and then you finish the items. Don't build these items on Ramos. They're very bad. Especially Frozen Heart. Never build this. But one thing I am going to go over are terrible items you should never build. And these are Old Torrance items, Health Potion, Corrupting Potion, and Control Ward. Why should you never build these items?
Oh mein Gott. Oh my Lord. Okay. Ich kann mir das machen.
Well, first of all, they're not very impressive. But that's not the reason why you shouldn't build them. The reason you shouldn't build them is because they all trick the bounty system into thinking you have money that you don't have. So, I'll give you an example. Let's say you buy a Doran's Blade, and then you sell it for 180 gold. Then you technically lost 270 gold, but the bounty system will still think you have that amount of money. So if you're even with your opponent in items, but you bought a Doran's that you...
Also. Okay. Ja. Also jetzt unabhängig vom Bounty-System, ne? Ja, ein Dorans ist eine Investition. Ne? Ein Dorans ist for sure eine Investition, weil ein Dorans gibt dir Stats im Value von 800 Gold. Na, das heißt, das ist basic plus, wie viel ist das? 350 Gold in Value. Und du verlierst aber dann, sobald du das verkaufst, 250, wie viel auch immer er gerade gesagt hat. 300 Gold, keine Ahnung. In Value. Das heißt, du verlierst das Gold dann aber auch wieder. Das heißt, was du machen musst, ist, ja, damit sich ein Dorans lohnt, ist, du musst in der Zeit, während du das Dorans hast, mehr Gold generieren, als du ohne Dorans haben würdest. Ne? Das ist ja, was er macht. Das ist ja das, was du machen musst. Damit es worth ist. Und ich glaube schon, dass es in sehr vielen Matchups, sehr vielen Lanes worth ist. Also, zu sagen, geh es nie, ist schon ein bisschen toll.
later sold, the bounty system is gonna give you a bounty because you technically had a lot more gold. You just ended up wasting 270 of it because you decided to buy a Dorans in the early game. Never build this item.
Okay, Leute, wie gesagt, das ist unabhängig von seinem Playstyle. So funktionieren Dorans. Und er probiert das jetzt zu argumentieren mit Bounties. Aber das ist ja, also Bounties sind irrelevant. Also was er probiert zu argumentieren ist, weil du kein Dorans hast, hast du ja insgesamt dein Income, also wirst du weniger Income haben, ne, weil du ja wahrscheinlich irgendwie sterben wirst oder keinen Kill kriegen wirst oder weniger Farm kriegen wirst oder sonst irgendwas. Und dafür werden die Gegner mehr Bounties haben und du wirst im Bounty-Game wirst du ahead kommen. Right? Das ist ja seine Argumentation. Aber, also, das macht nicht hundertprozentig Sinn, weil es kann ja, also die Argumentation ist nicht, also ist einfach nicht foolproof, weil du, natürlich kann es Situationen geben, wo du einfach 3 Waves verlierst, weil du nicht stark genug warst, weil du keine Dorans hattest, right? Kann existieren, die Situation.
Items on any champion in the game. Support, I'll
Nein,
give you a path
ich hab ihn nicht falsch
like
verstanden.
1 or 2 control wards, but any other champion in any other world should never buy any of these. With summoner spells, I always go TP. I think Ignite on top lane is a huge
Leute,
mistake.
ich habe es nicht falsch verstanden, erklärt es mir. Wenn ihr denkt, dass ich falsch verstanden habe, was glaubt ihr, was ich falsch verstanden habe? Oh. Ich habe gerade Full AD gelockt. Ja, und er hat gesagt, man soll keine Pincots kaufen, ja. Was? Er sagt, du bekommst die 180 oder 270 durchs Verkaufen wieder zurück. Und die gibst du dann wieder aus. Und die zählen fürs Bounty-System. Was? Wenn du ein Item verkaufst, das ist kein Income. Das stimmt nicht. No fucking way. Sonst könntest du ja alle deine Items auf einmal verkaufen, ne? Und dann hast du auf einmal 1000 Gold Shutdown? Hä? Nein, so funktioniert das nicht. Du hast das falsch verstanden, mein Bruder. Hat er auch nicht so gesagt. Ja, das habe ich auch nicht rausgehört. Nein, Leute, er probiert einfach nur zu argumentieren, dass du Geld, also guck mal, du kriegst Geld, okay? Wenn du viel Geld kriegst, hast du ein Bounty. Wenn du aber das Geld, das du bekommst, in etwas investierst, was du nicht langfristig brauchst, dann hast du ein Bounty aufgebaut und ein Item verschwendet. Weißt du? Du kommst, sagen wir, du kriegst 6000 Gold. Okay, mit 6000 Gold kannst du genau 2 Items kaufen. Wenn du jetzt aber einen Durans hast du, und ne, mit 6000 Gold hast du dann einen 300 Gold Bounty. Wenn du jetzt einen Durans kaufst, hast du einen 300 Gold Bounty, aber nur ein Item und ein 3/4 Item. Right? Das heißt, du willst mit 300 Gold, du willst halt deinen Bounty Spike, willst du möglichst gut haben, damit du halt diesen Bounty eben nicht abgibst. Das ist, was er probiert zu sagen. Aber wie gesagt, es macht Sinn, aber es hat Lücken, weil was ist, wenn du gar nicht so viel Gold generieren kannst ohne Durans? Das ist, was ich meine.
Will give you way more. So I usually go TP and Flash or TP or Ghost, depending on what champion I play. I never take Ignite. Ignite on top lane is bad. A huge part of the game is drafting and champion select, so you need to know how to do it right. What most people do is they'll look at the enemy champion, enemy team comp, and then they'll counterpick with a champion of their own.
Nein, keine Ahnung, woher das kommt. Stats sind auf jeden Fall nicht relevant für Bounties. Es ist immer nur Income. Es ist immer nur Income. Und halt je nachdem, welches Income und je nachdem, welche Objectives. Ne? Es ist immer Income. Es wird immer über Income berechnet. Und es wird anders gewichtet. Je nachdem, welches. Ich glaube, Dragons werden viel gewichtet für Objective Bounties. Ich glaube, Kills werden sehr viel berichtet für Personal Bounties. Farm wird auch berichtet, aber halt nicht so viel. Turrets sind, glaube ich, genauso wie Farm, aber da bin ich auch nicht 100% sicher. Turret Gold.
But a much more important thing to think about is a rule that I always follow, and I call it the everything rule. So the best draft team comp you can possibly have is a team comp that does everything a little bit. So they have a frontliner, they have AP and AD damage, they have range, they have AoE, they have a mage, an assassin, an enchanter, they have everything, right? That is the best type of team comp. It's a team comp with a little bit of everything. So what I usually like to do is, I like to fill all the spots that my team missed. So if my team picked a really squishy team comp, I pick a frontliner. If my team picked no CC, I'll pick a champion with CC. If my team picked only melee champions, I'll go Queen top. And I'll try and fill all the stuff we don't have in a team comp. So what I'm gonna do a lot of my games is, the enemy team will pick Gwen, let's say. I'm purposely picking Sion into it, knowing it's a bad matchup, but the team needs a frontliner. So I'll purposely get a good team comp, but ruin my own laning phase. That is much more important than having a good matchup, is to have a good team comp. The everything rule. In majority of my games, around 14 to 15 minutes, my KDA looks something like this, or this, or this, or even any of these. And now you might say, Baus, you're a damn inter, you're a terrible laner, what are you doing? But you haven't seen the full story. Taking a look at the same game, same opponent, same timestamp, and then we take a look at the goal lead, and you'll see that I actually have a goal lead in majority of my games, and it's not even a small goal lead. Sometimes it's a goal lead so big that it's hard to even understand where that even came from. And I will explain to you guys what I do in the first 14 minutes that it helps me get such a big goal lead, even though I die a lot. Finally made it into the game. My first in-game tip is going to be something I haven't heard anyone in the League of Legends community talk about or even mention, and that's gonna be respawn timers. So when you die, terrible, you give 300 gold to your opponent, that sucks. But what really matters is that you're dead for a certain amount of time and you're not on the map helping your team. That is the worst part about dying, is that you're not on the map. So how does the respawn timer work? Well, it has two factors. One is how late into the game it is. So the later into the game, the higher the death timer. And then 2, how high level you are. The higher level you are, the higher the death timer. But here's the catch. I wrote down some numbers for you guys. This is level 1, level 2, level 3, etc. Goes plus 2 seconds each level. Looks good. But once you reach level 6 and you level up to level 7, you get plus 5 seconds on your death timer. And then when you go from level 7 to level 8, you get plus 7 seconds on your death timer. And then it goes back to being plus 2 every level. This
Okay,
goes
that's actually
like this
smart.
for every champion in the game. And it's
Ich glaube,
really
das ist eine
weird.
Sache,
I don't know.
weil das ist eine Sache, an die denkt man nicht, die fühlt man. Das ist eine Sache, die fühlt man, aber actually ist es super wichtig, das mal zu sehen, ja.
Why it is like that, but it's important to know. I'll explain later how you can use this to your advantage. With this knowledge, you can make sure that...
Also das Ding ist halt, wenn du early stirbst, du bist instant wieder auf der Map. Du bist früher auf der Map, als derjenige, der dich gekillt hat. Das ist das Wichtige. Ne? Du bist früher auf der Map. Deswegen auch immer, na, wenn ich invaden möchte und mein Botlane beispielsweise einen Kill gemacht hat, oh shit, ich kann jetzt nicht mehr invaden, weil der gegnerische Support ist früher auf der Map als mein Supporter.
every time you die, you're not gonna lose an advantage from it. All I'm going to say is bounty system. The bounty system is completely broken, and I abuse it every single game. It's quite complicated, so I'll start off by talking about negative bounty. If someone dies a lot in a game, they'll be worth less and less gold. Taking out all the other factors, whether your team is doing well, if you have a lot of CS or not. In general, this is how it's gonna look. Your first death, you're gonna be worth 300 gold, and then already by the second death, you're worth less with 274. And then third death, you're worth 220, and then etc, etc. Now if you have no kills, assist, and you have 5 deaths, your life is only worth 112 gold. And now, I watched so many guys out there, you have 100% heard this as well. They've said something like, oh, a good player knows how to get carried. If you're having a bad game, play safe under your tower and let your team carry you. That is completely false. If you're going 0-5 and your life is only worth 112 gold, you need to be...
Okay, also, gefährlich, gefährliche Aussage. Also, okay, ich spule kurz nochmal
A
zurück.
good player knows how to get carried. If you're having a bad game, play safe under your tower and let your team carry you. That is completely false. If you're going 0-5 and your life is only worth 112 gold, you need to be the playmaker. It is very low risk, because you only give 100 gold, and huge reward. If you're feeding, you cannot start playing safe, because your life is not worth as much, so you need to be the one that makes plays and risks. You gotta be the one risking your life.
Okay, so, wie gesagt, diese Aussage ist sehr gefährlich. Sehr, sehr, sehr gefährlich. Und du musst halt den Kontext verstehen, damit das, was er sagt, Sinn ergibt. Weil er spielt meistens Champions, die sehr gut scalen und Sidelane pressuren. Und dann halt das Team auf der anderen Seite auch was bekommt. Wenn du ein Midlaner bist, der 0-3 steht und du die ganze Zeit solo-killt wirst, das ist nichts Gutes. Ne? Aber was er ja meistens bekommt, ist, er zieht sehr, sehr viele Ressourcen von den Gegnern und tradet seinen Tod für, keine Ahnung, halt Objectives für ein Team oder Summoner-Spells und Leben und, keine Ahnung, Tempo von den Gegnern auch einfach nur, ne? Also das, was er sagt, jetzt macht in seinem Kontext extrem viel Sinn. Aber das kannst du, also so wie er das sagt, ne, also wenn du jetzt jemand bist, der nicht so viel Ahnung hat von dem Game, also Grandmaster Plus, entschuldigt dich, das gerade einfach runterzurennen. Basically. Wisst ihr, was ich meine? Aber natürlich, wenn du 0-7 stehst, ne, und komplett useless bist für dein Team und du gerade die Möglichkeit hast, eine Sidelane-Wave runterzupushen, weil der gegnerische Toplaner groupt. Geh dafür, auf jeden Fall. Du bist unendlich mal mehr wert, eine Sidelane runter zu pushen und vielleicht auch dann dafür zu sterben, als wenn du einfach zusammengroupst zu deinem Team oder halt gar nicht pushst. Weil du Angst hast. Natürlich. Er hat da schon recht. Das Risiko ist das Risiko ist nicht so hoch. Du investest deine useless Gold. Du bist 150 Gold oder so, 200 Gold. In dem Fall hat er recht. Und das sage ich ganz, ganz vielen meiner Mitspieler, wenn sie behind sind, yo, push einfach Sidelane runter, ist okay, wenn du dafür stirbst. Hauptsache der gegnerische fette Toplaner ist dann nicht bei uns. Ne, das ist viel wichtiger. Aber also in dem Fall, also er hat recht, aber du musst Kontext mit beachten, sonst ist das, was er sagt, gefährlich.
You can't let your teammates risk their lives. You gotta be the playmaker, especially if you're feeding. All these tips about playing safe when you're having a rough game, they're completely false. You gotta be the playmaker, because your life in this scenario would only be worth 112 gold. So you gotta make plays. Now let's talk about the positive bounty system, where if you die, you're worth more than 300 gold. What most people think happens is, if you get a goal lead over your opponent, you'll get a bounty on your head, which makes sense. And it kinda works like that in general, but not quite. Because again, the system is completely broken, and I'm here to explain it and help you manipulate it.
Clock coming a mile away.
In League of Legends, there's 6 main sources of income. There's kills, assists, minions, turrets destroyed, platings, and gold items, like cool and support items. Now these different sources of income will have a different impact on the bounty, so let me give you an example. If you farm 300 gold worth of minions, that will give you a lower bounty than if you got 1 kill worth of 300 gold.
Das ist, soweit ich weiß, richtig, ja.
300 gold, depending on where you got the gold from, that will determine how big your bounty is going to be. So, what is the best way to make money in League of Legends? Kills are a terrible way to make money. If you can kill your opponent and that will give you a CS advantage or anything else above it, that's great. But just getting kills alone barely gives you anything, alright? You get to 300 gold, but you're gonna realize once you're at 4 kills, 5 kills, you're already going to have a 1k gold bounty. So the bounty system is ruthless when it comes to kills. You're gonna get 1500 gold
das ist sehr wahr, ja.
and then you die once and you give back 1k gold. Same goes with assist.
Hat er hier in dem Beispiel gesagt, wie viel Gold er hat? Er muss hier super Head sein, ne? Der ist hier 2000 Gold Head, by the way, oder? Und der Gragas hat einen Bounty, obwohl er sehr viel mehr Gold hat als er und halt stärker ist. Was natürlich dann für diesen einen Gragas-Kill dann das gesamte Game shiftet, ne? Er hat legit einen Bounty, obwohl er ultra behind ist. Der Gragas, in dem Fall. Und das ist natürlich Bullshit, ja.
Now assists don't give as much money.
Nur wegen den Kills, ja natürlich, genau. Wenn du 5 Kills hintereinander bekommst, kriegst du einen fetten Bounty, ja.
Not as noticeable. Going to minions. Minions is a great way to make money. It's very stable. The bounty system doesn't attack it the same way as it does with kills. If you farm really well, you will rarely get a bounty on your head. Now, of course, if you overfarm, you are going to get a bounty, but it's not as bad as getting kills. Moving on. Turrets destroyed. Turrets destroyed works a little bit differently. What killing towers usually do is it enables the enemy.
Wait, hold up. Er ist 4000 Gold ahead. Oh mein Gott. Er ist 4000 Gold ahead. Er ist schon bescheuert. Okay. Yeah.
Team to get objective bounties, or it goes one step closer to getting objective bounties. Now, objective bounties are not as scary as the individual bounties, so you shouldn't even worry about this. Destroying towers is always a good thing. It's a great way to make money. You're not gonna get an individual bounty for it, so it's great to do. Always destroy towers. And then we're moving on to platings and gold items. These two, getting cool and taking platings, is the single best way to make money. It's crazy. You know, you can go a game getting 15 platings for yourself. You can get that's 2,600 gold. You can get 2,600 gold worth of platings, and your bounty wouldn't move an inch. You will not get a singular inch of a bounty.
Da bin ich mir nicht so sicher.
It is completely tax-free. Riot bounty system doesn't.
Ist das wahr? Dass Platings tax-free sind? No fucking way, oder? No fucking way. Also ich glaube, das gilt genauso wie Minion Income, würde ich jetzt sagen, aber ich bin mir nicht sicher.
Account for platings.
So,
if you can, you should always secure this. That is why the first 14 minutes of the game are the most important minutes of any game. Hopefully you learned something new by now. But what is the point about knowing how something works if you don't know how to utilize it in your games? So that is what this section is for. Finally, we're getting into the gameplay. Starting off, we have the early game. The early game is the first 14 minutes of the game. It's also the most important minutes of any game. And now I know what you might be thinking. Bows, there's no way I'm taking laning phase tips from you. You're the worst laner in the entire EU. And that is false, okay? It is false.
That is really
I'm
false.
actually a great laner. I would consider myself, my biggest strength is actually my laning phase. Going into the stats, here in the League client, you take current season Sion, then you go into
No
the
cap,
income.
das ist wahr.
You can see
Das ist wirklich wahr.
that on average, at 15 minutes, I have a 900 goal lead. Every single game on average, 900 goal lead at 15 minutes. Now, if I'm going 0-4 and my opponent laner is 4-0, it might look like I'm losing the lane, but again, on average, over my opponent, I have a 900 goal lead. Actually, my biggest strength is my laning phase. Yeah, I'm gonna show you what I do and how I get this goal lead. The idea is that you pick Sion, who is a late game champion. You buy Kull, who is a late game item. You take the runes that I chose, who are all late game runes. But how the hell are you supposed to get a goal lead into the early game then? That makes no sense. Well, your opponent is always going to beat you. So the idea is that you wanna mismatch your tempo. Now you might not understand what I mean there, so I'll try and explain it. But you want to be in lane when your opponent is not in lane, and you want to take the base when your opponent is in lane, if that makes sense. So there's nothing you can do level 1. Level 1, you both will come to lane at the same time. There's no strategy behind it. You're gonna die because you're all late game, and he bought potions, maybe got a Dorans or whatever, so he's gonna kill you. Now what I like to do is I like to farm safe the first 2 waves. Try and get as many as you can, you'll take a lot of damage. It's fine to take a lot of damage, but as soon
Level
as
1,
wave
dein
3
Plan
comes, as
ist
soon as
sterben.
it comes, what you do is you walk up and you just Q the whole wave. The opponent will hit you and kill you, but you Q it, he will then kill you, and then after he
Sehr
kills
geil
you,
mit dem TP.
you'll clear the whole thing in the passive. That is the strategy. And during this time, you get to clear the whole wave. And now, of course, it's able to crash in. Now it stayed a bit, but it's still able to crash in, right? And now you get a free reset, and you're back to lane. And your opponent, because he didn't focus the minions, he has to clear all of this, and it now pushes towards me. And keep in mind, during this time, even though he killed your entire health bar, you at least did 300-400 damage to him, right? Like, you at least did some damage to him. So he's pushing all of this, and he's half health.
Free reset. I mean, es ist true, hat jetzt ein Tempo Advantage.
Item advantage and health advantage. So what does the opponent do now? Well, he has 2 options. He can stay and be at a health disadvantage, and he will eventually die himself because, again, he has no health or no items. Or he can recall and try and TP. If he tries to recall, that's where Minion Dima comes in handy. You gotta hurry. He's recalling. You have to hurry and push all of this. It's very, very, very important you do it as fast as you can. So you do this, you Minion Dima that, and you know he's TPing right now, and you try and push as fast as you can. And now he's back to lane, but now he can't attack you because you have a full cannon wave with you. And once this wave cannon, he's gonna take it like always. What you do is you loop around, and you loop around here, and then you come behind him. Once you're behind him, it's a free game. GG, you just won the game. Because again, you're full late game. And if you guys know about the proxy strategy, nobody can kill you here. You're free to farm how much you want. You get 10 CS per minute.
Nein, er hat schon recht, also an dem Punkt, wenn er proxyen darf, dann hat er Free Scaling. Er hat schon recht, die Waves werden nicht mehr contested.
In the first 5 levels, you have done perfect. And then once you get here, all you basically do is just proxy till you die, basically. Or proxy till you get out of mana. And once you run out of mana, what you do then is you use suicide with 1 Q on the wave. And that should clear the whole thing, the rest in your passive. Just like this. Didn't get the cannon, but you get the idea. You get the idea. So dying enables you to mismatch your tempo. So when you're in base, your opponent has to clear the wave, and then once he's in base, you're in lane, and you're able to push the lane. That is the best way of laning with this strategy, is to not be in lane the same time as your opponent is in lane. You farm minions when he's not here, he's farming them when you're not there. That is the best way. This strategy never fails. Always do that. Not
Gut.
every laning
Guter Tipp.
phase is pixel perfect, but things you have to think about is no matter what, you need to protect your tower. She's the most precious thing in your life. Her health bar is more important than your own health bar. And one way to keep your tower safe is to always push. Every single wave that comes, you will always shove it. Push it. As soon as it's here, you do a full combo on it and you kill it. Every single wave. This will, even if you die or not, this will always protect your tower, no matter what. If you're level 6 or below, you always have to push the wave here. When it comes here, you'll have to push it. If you are level 7, you have to push the wave around here. That is better. Because if you die and you're level 7, here, your death timer is actually going to be too long to be able to protect your tower. So, let's say I die here. The death timer now is actually going to be too long comparing to level 6. Look, 15 seconds. So you're actually not gonna be able to run. You're not going to be able to run back and defend your tower. So if you're level 6 or below, you catch the wave here, shove it instantly. If you're level 7 or above, you have to proxy and you have to catch the wave here. Best thing would be if you catch the wave here. Working ourselves into the mid game. This is minute 14 to 25 maybe, I'm not quite sure. The mid game, what do I like to do? I like to be on the side lane all the time. Coming from base, maybe you've died, maybe you recalled. What do? Well, you check which lane you go to, either top or bot. You never go mid, either top or bot. So I like to see myself as a turret destroyer. So let's say this tower is gone, then I will go bot lane and I'm gonna work on this tower. Now a very important thing if you want a side lane is to push the wave first. Alright, so you're gonna be versus another opponent, target dummy again. Your job is to get the wave first. If you're able to catch the wave, as soon as it comes, boom, boom, it's cleared, let's say. And then your wave is coming here. If his wave is already cleared, you then have a roam timer that you can either help your team. What I like to do is I like to sneak around, loop around here and proxy. Stay here and then he clears the wave, right? And then when this wave comes, clear it, and now you have an insane timer. So what you're gonna do then is you're gonna threaten a roam. If your opponent answers the roam by roaming himself, then your wave is crashing into the tower and you just go back and you'll take the tower, basically. But the important thing is to always clear the wave before your opponent. That is what enables tempo. If you have a tempo advantage, you can then roam before him or you can take tower. Always clear the wave first. I will never join a fight with my team unless it's the 3rd dragon or the 4th dragon or the baron. If it's one of those 3, I might join the team fight. But if it's anything else, 2nd dragon, herald, or what people even like to do is they like to randomly teamfight in mid lane without any objective being on the map. If there's no objective on the map and a teamfight breaks out in mid lane, don't join it. Stay side lane. It's not worth to join teamfights who don't have an objective in them as a top laner. But getting into the late game, after 25 minutes, let's say, you're level 15 or something by then. What do you do in the late game? You come from base? Guess what? You still go side lane. You go side lane and you push out. Again, you shouldn't let waves crash into your tower. Here's the thing with late game. All my strategies, you can throw them out of the window now. Because all of a sudden, deaths are relevant. And dying is a really bad thing. Because your death timer is like 30-40 seconds by now. So dying is very risky. And getting kills on your opponent has insane value. So I will look to play more safe, but also look to kill my opponent a lot more. Whether I assassinate them or whatever, right? Usually by now, if you have all the scaling set up, you will be stronger than your opponent anyway, so you're just gonna beat him most of the games. How do you teamfight with Sion? You always want to flank, and that's a great thing, because you come from a side lane, so flanking is very easy. If there's a fight in mid lane, you will push the wave here, and then you will roll all the way here, and look at this flank you have. You go right into the enemies, if the fight were to break out here. So, if you were to teamfight with Sion, you want to flank. Always flank. Getting into tips and tricks.
Das ist normal, das gilt für jeden, nicht nur für Top-Lane, das gilt für jeden Champion. Außer vielleicht AD-Carry oder so.
Getting into the passive. If you're already melee range with your opponent, don't use your active once they flash away, that's when you use your active ability. Like here, if you're in range, once he flashes away, then you run after with your ability. What most Sion players do is, as soon as they get into the passive, they will instantly click the ability and they will waste their speed boost. Don't do that. Another thing, close range ultis. If you're close range like this with your opponent, don't just click R. That screws up your camera, it's a lot harder to hit, it's just very sloppy.
It screws up your camera.
What you're gonna do is, you're gonna click R plus Q at the same time. R plus Q. Instead of your camera screwing up, it's gonna make this. Much more nicer.
What's that?
A lot easier to hit. It doesn't mess up your camera. It's a weird little bug, I guess you could say. But always use this for melee range ultis.
What?
R plus Q. And then into another Q or whatever you want to
zero
do.
bug.
Another thing is
I didn't
when
know.
you camp the bushes. Bush Qs. My signature move is to camp a bush and queue them from Fog of War, right? What I see a lot of players do is they're gonna walk in the bush, they're gonna have their opponent, and they're gonna charge the queue like that. That is not how you're supposed to charge it from the bush. In every single bush, you can always make an extra step. So don't go in here and charge the queue. Always click on this pixel to be right on the edge. This gives you way more range. Right? Every bush has a pixel. You click on it, and then you get max range. It's way better.
Okay.
Getting into my second champion here, we have Greg.
Sehr guter Tipp. Das meiste rausholen aus der Range. Nice.
Gragas. The thing with Gragas is that he has unlimited amount of insane combos you can make. Right? Let me show you one.
Lol.
Okay. Looks a little bit rough. I failed it. I have thousands of hours on Gragas and I still can't for the life of me.
Das ist mir scheißegal, was das für ein Spieler ist. Wenn du diesen Move machst, dann bist du einfach ein ekliger Spieler. Wenn du das machst.
I have one combo, that's all you're gonna need. That's the W.
Also, du bist einfach ein ekliger League of Legends Spieler.
It's super standard, everybody knows about it. And then pop the Q as late as you can. It's the only combo you will need. You follow up with an ulti after it or whatever you wanna do. Doing these crazy flashy combos are too unreliable, don't do them. Only go for this combo, it's the only thing you'll need to rank up. It's just as good as the other combo. It doesn't look as cool. But we're not playing to look cool, we're playing to rank up. Another trick is when your opponent is under his tower, you wanna cook up your barrel and then you wanna throw him into it. That's really hard to do if your opponent is under tower, because the tower will block them.
Ich rede nicht vom Baus, Leute, ich rede von dem Jarvan.
So what I like to do is, I like to cook the barrel.
Actually, wir können gar kein Game mehr machen.
Your opponent has to move.
Wir können gar kein Game mehr machen, wir haben gleich Meeting.
Right?
Wir haben gleich Meeting, wir gucken noch das Game zu Ende.
The best way to push your opponent into your barrel is to E into ult. So you do Q, you walk up to them, E ult. This will never fail, and it's an insanely broken strategy.
Normale Gragas
Walk
combos,
up to them, and then once they're here, you can move them anywhere, because you can E. They can't dodge that CC. If you just ulti them from far away, they can easily dodge it. So cook the barrel on the tower, and then E ulti, and it will always go where you want it to go. Another trick on Gragas is the invincible barrel Q. If you put your Q inside of a wall, this is now invincible to your opponent. They can't see it. If you put it inside a wall, they won't be able to see it. The same thing as putting it into a bush. This is being used a little bit, but it is not nearly
honestly,
being
das ist
used
eine
as often
Mechanik,
as it should.
die wenigsten Gragas-Spieler machen.
Strat. Even here,
Honestly.
this barrel is completely
Das ist schon
invincible
sehr
to
gut.
your opponent. So they're just gonna walk straight into it, and they're gonna take maximum damage. Completely invincible Q. Always use the Q into the wall. For champion, Ramos. Very high mechanical skill champion. No, but there are stuff you need to think about. There are. So first up, you have a 4-mail. Minions are spawning. If you use your Q while you have your W,
Erstmal schön geskippt bis zum Thornmail-Part.
your W gets removed. So, same goes with the ulti. Your W gets removed. Your W deals 114 damage per attack. The idea is that you should never ever cancel your own W. If your opponent is on 100 health, it's better to keep holding the W than to try and ulti them, because that removes the W, and your ulti barely deals the same amount of damage as one auto attack. As long as your W is active, all you're gonna do is walk around and taunt people. Don't use your Q, don't use your ulti. When it runs out, then you're free to do what you want. Another thing I like to do is, people use Ramos ulti as an engage tool. I don't use it as an engage tool. I always run into my opponent with my Q, and I do the crazy taunt combo. Very hard to do, right? No, but the idea is that once your W gets expired, your opponent is gonna look to kill you. Now they're all gonna jump on you and kill you. That's when you need your ulti to run away. I don't like to engage with my ulti, because I like to disengage with it when I don't have my W up. Those are like the two the two combos I can find on the champion.
Macht Sinn.
Not a very hard champion to play. Of course, the idea with Ramos is you can't clear a wave normally. This takes a year to clear. The whole idea behind Ramos is you don't want your wave, your own minions nearby. You need the enemy minions to only attack you, because all of a sudden you clear the wave a whole lot faster. So that is the one trick I can give on Ramos,
mit der Wave, die
is
das
to
Stack ist? Einfach abgeben, oder?
be the only ally nearby. So that's the only thing people can attack. Never be close to your own minion wave, in a way. Our champion and final champion is gonna be Quinn, the bird. The combo is gonna look something like this: E claw, auto, Q auto. So it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, ich skippe den Part.
It is the
Mich
best combo
interessieren Win-Tipps nicht. Conclusion.
Alright, let's wrap this guide up. Let's summarize it. What did we learn today? Runes. Demolish, really good. Scaling runes, incredibly good. Always go for scaling runes. Items. Hopefully I taught you something about the Dorans. Stay away from them. Don't build them. Going into in-game, always push lane if you can. Always try and be the pusher. If you're gonna die, make sure you die before level 7. And if you're playing Sion, dying when pushing before level 7 is actually good for you. Your KDA is mostly irrelevant. You need to look at gold income instead. You shouldn't go for kills. You should go for money. Make sure you split push. Split pushing is your main objective. You're the turret destroyer. And yeah, hopefully I taught you something about the combos as well. Thank you so much for watching this guide. I did put a lot of effort into the video, so if you could...
Es war ein sehr gutes
drop
Video.
a like and...
Like
No,
it, like it,
that
like
is
it, like
right.
it.
Watching the video is more than enough. Thank you so much, and yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Wie süß er ist. Er ist ja so süß. So. Ja. Nee, ist cool. Also vor allem am Anfang hat er sehr viele Strategien. Also vor allem das Bounty-System-Strategie und die was war das noch? Bounty, da war noch was. Death Timer waren sehr huge. Richtig. Ja, Death Timer, also auch etwas, also das sind natürlich etwas, die beeinflussen mein Gameplay sehr viel und man weiß sowas nicht. Also man weiß sowas, indem man es fühlt. Man fühlt es, aber man weiß es nicht. Ja, das sind so Sachen, die beeinflussen zwar das Gameplay, aber das mal ausgesprochen zu haben, das mal angehört zu haben, ist auf jeden Fall cool. Würde Bauspace auch ohne das kaputte Bounty-System funktionieren? Doch, natürlich. Hat er ja schon immer gemacht. Der Geist, er war schon immer gut.